Now, during this time, there were tons of composers, as I mentioned earlier, that wrote in this Italian magical style. But one of the most famous and prolific ones at the time was Jacques Arcadel. Arcadel started his musical career by singing in the Pope's Chapel, and later on joined the Royal Chapel. The composer from the Netherlands was one of the most prolific composers of madrigals, ended up writing 6 books with at least 40 compositions in each one. One of his most famous compositions was Il Bianco e Dolce Cigno, which is the white and sweet swan. What was so different that a lot of people liked about this piece was he used the swan's death as his own kind of way of showing his own death. Now, in that time, the word death and little death and everything meant sexual climaxing. So it wasn't really talking about his death, it's talking about something a little bit more personal to him, but he definitely uses this a lot in this piece. And at the end of this, I'd like you to listen to the piece as well, the whole entirety of it, kind of see if you can guess kind of what's going on, see what's going on in it as well. He definitely uses a lot of different metaphors for it, and frequently brings that topic into play as well. Some of the other prolific composers of the Italian madrigal were Claudio Monteverdi, which we'll discuss later on in a couple chapters later, but he did do Italian madrigals before he did a lot of his other well-known stuff. He did 8 books of madrigals. He used a polyphonic madrigal, and he was very well known for his use of combining the homophonic and contrapuntal writing. He was able to create a very emotional and melodic madrigal than a lot of others could. Another really famous composer of the Italian madrigal was Cipriano de Rore. He was very well known for his use of chromaticism during his modes. So he'd actually have a set mode and then kind of stray off of that. And in that really short duration of time where he strayed off of that mode, he'd actually end up using all 12 notes of the chromatic scale in just a couple seconds or in a couple measures, kind of going out of his mode. So he definitely expanded and did some really interesting, weird stuff for the time in his madrigals that a lot of people really liked, and it was definitely different for that time. So if you could please watch the video after this, and then we'll get back to the rest of the presentation as well.